It's difficult to be making a video on the downfall of Aaron Ramsdale. I say that because I really do like Ramsdale, and I did like Ramsdale a lot more last year. You know, as the weeks have gone on and the games have been played, I think a lot of people have realised that Raya is 100% the way to go. As much as people don't want to admit that, it is true. And Mikel Arteta was completely right to swap out Aaron Ramsdale. We had another problem with Ramsdale. It's the exact same problem that happened last year against Southampton, the lack of concentration. This is ultimately where I think Ramsdale declined and fell off. He's an amazing shot stopper. He's very, very good and quick with his feet. He can pass the ball. He can distribute the ball with his hands as well. He's very good at it. These mistakes are just ridiculous. I mean, this mistake against Brentford is unforgivable, I think, and I actually do think that was his last ever game in an Arsenal shirt. I don't think he's going to trust him again, and I would not trust him again. Before we continue with this video, I'd just like to mention that only a small percentage of you are actually subscribed to my channel. If you could please click the subscribe button. It's free, it costs nothing, and you can always unsubscribe. I am also trying to hit 5,000 subscribers as quickly as humanly possible, so any support towards that would mean the world to me. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the video. He's had chance after chance last year when we were in a title race. He had amazing saves. He had some very, very memorable saves from last year, don't get me wrong. But ultimately, when we look back at it, Ramsdale cost us a lot more than he saved us, I think. Now, I understand he had more saves, like good saves, than mess ups, but let's be honest, the points we dropped, the teams that we have dropped points to, or last season, was outrageous at the end of the season, literally a year ago. We saw a rerun of that tonight, and I felt a horrible feeling going into this game because obviously this guy has not been being played. Raya has played every single game and his confidence is definitely low, and that's understandable. But I think the mistake that really has now sent it completely over the edge is completely justified. I don't want to see Aaron Ramsdale in goal again. I don't want to see that anymore. I want Raya in goal. I feel comfortable with Raya in goal. I will literally say that for good now. There won't be any argument between, who's better, Aaron Ramsdale or Raya. Is it, Mikel mistreating a player? I think Mikel was absolutely spot on with this. I think he's got this perfectly, and obviously he knows the players more than anyone else does. He knows the players more than me, than any of these other guys on YouTube that are talking about it. Anyone that's on whatever other sports show or whatever talking about football, Mikel knows. And a lot of people doubted when it happened, but I can only say, thank you to him, because I don't know what would happen if we had Aaron Ramsdale in goal this season. The lack of concentration is unreal, and I really am surprised that he even kind of made it that far through the season last season without more mess up. I really don't want to make all these problems that have happened overshadow the fact that Aaron Ramsdale is still a very, very good goalkeeper, and I do not think for a second that he doesn't belong in the Premier League. What I do think is that for Arsenal, they definitely need someone more reliable who isn't as shaky, who you can't visibly see the emotion as much. And with Ramsdale, you could really see when his confidence is not, when he's not feeling 100%. And that's what it has come down to, I think. Those are the real factors of this. This is not what you can be a world-class goalkeeper with. You need to literally be the best of the best, obviously, but you have to be the best of the best in both worlds. Mentality is the most important thing as a goalkeeper. Now, he bounced back all right, don't get me wrong. Again, we're having these same recurring mistakes, and obviously, Mikel said previously he would have substituted a goalkeeper out at one point last season because he could see the nerves and stuff like that within the player. Obviously, that was referring to Aaron Ramsdale. I completely agree, and I think now everyone really, really sees this guy is too shaky to be an Arsenal goalkeeper. He's too shaky. There's not enough concentration there. He lacks that concentration that is so key. We dominated the whole game against Brentford, right? But all it took was a split second and one run to just completely obliterate all of the 45 minutes of great football that we played. And it all came down to Aaron Ramsdale being too slow on his feet. You're in the Premier League, they're world class, whether you think they are or not. But regardless, compared to the rest of us, these people are world class. It doesn't matter if you're good enough to play in the Premier League, then you're way above anyone else in terms of skill. Regardless of what level you're at in the Premier League or what team, you're still got there. So that's the thing. With him, I don't know exactly what will happen next if he would stay in the Premier League. I really do think he's a Premier League goalkeeper. That's not even a debate. I'm not even saying that he isn't. What I do think is that he can't be trusted in big situations, big games, high intensity games, just anything with a lot more pressure on it. And his ultimate downfall just comes down to a lack of concentration, and it's cost us. It's cost us so much. I think it cost us last season. I think that was basically the nail in the coffin. I really do think that. And ultimately, Mikel's seen that before anyone else. He's got a great substitution in. But I will always love Aaron Ramsdale for that period, that year and a half where he was outstanding. And I always remember those games, no matter what. I always remember the big saves. I have plenty that I think of now. But ultimately, I don't see him as the Arsenal goalkeeper, and I see this as a spiraling out of control situation. This could end up with him, being back at a team like Sheffield United. We don't know who's going to come in for him. This is the thing. We don't understand if people really want to take a risk on this guy, because realistically, if you get to a final, if you get to a semi-final, whatever, a final, you don't want this guy playing. I would literally opt for anyone else. You can tell the pressure gets to him. You can tell it really affects him as a person, and you just can't have that as a trait. You cannot have that as a trait, because you're always going to be in these big games every season. You're going to be in these massive, massive games where everyone's relying on you. And this is ultimately what it's come down to with Mikel Arteta and Aaron Ramsdale. He's realised that. He's realised that Aaron Ramsdale is not a big game player, and Arsenal want to be in the big game. And the only way that Arsenal can get into them big games is by having world-class players all around that are all switched on, that are all focused all of the time, the whole 90 minutes. Aaron Ramsdale lacks that ability.